I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Match once again. We're about to another video. This is another paid request, this time from Joseph. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or reviews, commentaries, topics, whatever, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Joseph, who asked what were my top 10 favorite westerns. Now, this is a bit of a tougher list because I didn't grow up much with westerns. When I think of action, I was more for either stuff that took place present time, whether it been urban, jungle, whatever setting, either current timeline or a future timeline. Usually not a guy who is interested in the past, although there's tons of movies that I like that do take place in those time spans. But as a kid, a lot of people wanted to be cowboys. I'm the guy that wanted to be Rambo, or I wanted to be like this, or that type of thing. G.I. Joe. But there are westerns I enjoy. Now, there's a lot of movies with western influences, especially in the sci-fi genre, like Outland with Sean Connery. That's a western, but it's in the future, sci-fi, and outer space. It is High Noon, but with the sci-fi spectacle. And Outland I love with Sean Connery. And I did make a top 10. Stuff that didn't make it quite, but I do enjoy still, is Blazing Saddles, which is a fun comedy directed by Mel Brooks. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, pretty decent film. I think it's a bit too long in the tooth for me, but it has some really good direction, especially the finale standoff, and of course the music and Clint Eastwood. The Quick of the Dead, I think, is a pretty decent Sam Raimi film. It's a pretty simple story where it's about this quick draw tournament. Sharon Stone, I think, is the weakest part, and sadly she's the star. It was either like Demi Moore or Gina Davis or someone else in particular as the lead. Because the rest of the cast, you got Russell Crowe, you got Leonardo DiCaprio, you got Gene Hackman, you got Lance Henriksen, Keith David. Sam Raimi has that style, direction during the draw, like certain angles, camera movements. One moment where someone gets a fucking bullet hole in their head, and the way that's shot, that screams Sam Raimi. So I do like The Quick of the Dead, but yet I just wish it had a better lead. The Revenant, that's a movie I reviewed with Leonardo DiCaprio, another one I enjoyed. I thought it was well directed. I thought it was a good looking film. Maverick, I thought it's a fun Richard Donner western comedy with Mel Gibson, and Jodie Foster was in it. Maverick, again, that's a film that's a bit too long in the tooth, but overall enjoyable movie. Shanghai Noon, fun Jackie Chan film with Owen Wilson. Yeah, I would say I prefer Rush Hour 1 and 2 more, but I thought Shanghai Noon worked well for what it needed to do. But my top 10 favorite westerns, number 10, I put A Fistful of Dollars, spaghetti western, classic, changed Clint Eastwood's career. Because, okay, everyone do these movies, they seem pretty cheap, and it's overseas, and it's a payday. But Ennio Morricone score and the solid direction where that director created the spaghetti western genre and had a hero that was an anti-hero that would be willing to shoot you in the back if he had to, or more of a rougher, not the John Wayne archetype, a man with few words. I think might have been more dialogue, and Clint Eastwood said, no, it would make more sense if there's a lot less dialogue. Kind of like when Sylvester Stallone did First Blood. He's like, yeah, take out the dialogue. A lot can be said with actions instead of words. Presence, look, stature, things of that nature. And Sergio Leone knew how to direct bits of action, especially for that time period where like having a gun in the same frame as the person getting shot. So you see like cause and effect of that sequence, and the way the standoffs and I mean, people have ripped that off all the time now. The close-ups of the eyes is this build-up. He knows how to build up that tension and this quick reaction, violent showdown. And it definitely has this mystery, almost mythological mystery to it. Man rides into town. Who is he? It's a guy that is a bit smart too. Does he get shot? But he's got the bulletproof vest. Hey, if it works, it works. I remember that being referenced in Back to the Future Part 2, because the alternate Biff was watching that on TV. And then Michael J. Fox sees it and uses that for Back to the Future 3, the bulletproof vest thing. But A Fistful of Dollars, solid film. Number 9, Quigley Down Under. That's a film I need to get on Blu-ray sometime, because I do remember quite enjoying it. Interesting to see it take place in Australia, so very unique location. And you have the Western motif, but still a man out of his element. He's been hired by Alan Rickman. Another solid performance as a villain. Alan Rickman knew how to play it well, whether it be Die Hard, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, or this movie. It was cool that, and Tom Selleck stars in it. I always thought he was a guy that deserved a bigger movie career. He was successful man in PI, but he deserved, in my opinion, a bigger movie career. And I think I have it over here, Runaway. I love Runaway. Where the hell do I... Oh, there it is. Okay. Love that film. It's a personal favorite of mine. And sadly, that didn't do well. 3 Men and a Baby is another great one. He was in An Innocent Man. That's a decent one. But like, other than 3 Men and a Baby, a lot of these other movies didn't really do much of anything. Like Runaway got trampled by The Terminator. These other movies. And sadly, his movie career led to him doing all those Jesse... What the hell? It's a bunch of TV movies. Jesse Walsh or just... I forget the... I saw one, couldn't get into it, just wasn't for me. And then doing TV once again, Blue Bloods, among others. It's a shame because I thought he was very likable. Of course, he was up for Indiana Jones and was going to do it. But then, in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but then people behind Man and PI said, no, we're picking you up for the show, come do it. But then it got so delayed that Tom Selleck could have done it. He could have done both. It was such a long delay where Tom Selleck was just sitting there twiddling his thumbs. He could have done Raiders of the Lost Ark and done Man and PI. And if he had done those two, he would have been the biggest star on the planet. And who knows what his career would have been. Not granted, Harrison Ford did a great job as Indiana Jones. My favorite Harrison Ford character. But I think Tom Selleck could have pulled it off. And he pulls this off well. And it was also cool to see like a Western version of him being a sniper. Because he gets his long rifle. He's able to snipe people and nice impact during the shots. And again, it taking place in Australia gave it a different feel to it. With the location and the environment. Always liked Quigley Down Under. I remember that having a pretty decent score as well. Number 8 is a film I saw a few months ago. Might have been, yeah, a few months ago. Rio Bravo. Surprised me. A John Wayne film with Dean Martin, and I was rather surprised how much into it I got into the story, the characters especially. The characters were really likable, the way they worked together, and I just got sucked into the dialogue, the way they interacted with each other, and everyone played off each other fairly well, including, I forget the guy's name, who is the singer, because I guess originally there was talk of Elvis Presley, which in retrospect that would have been even more unique, but they got this other guy instead. I think Elvis Presley wanted to do it, but they said no, which is strange because the other guy wasn't that much of a better actor. I forget his name, Ricky Nelson, or I forgot his name, damn it. But yeah, Rio Bravo, I know that was one of the inspirations for John Carpenter when he was doing films like Assault on Precinct 13, among others. It's about Dean Martin is this drunk who used to be a deputy, and you get to see him rise up to the occasion again with the help of John Wayne, and they have this bad guy that they are keeping in their jail, and others want to get him out. Nice camera work, camera angles, like when they're in a bar and Dean Martin knows that there's somebody out here in the shadow. I thought you get John Wayne and Dean Martin worked very well together, and for a more old school traditional Western, I can see why it became a classic. It's a well-written movie. I won't go much into detail. I did a review of it for those who want to check it out, or check the movie out itself for your own enjoyment, hopefully. Number 7, Tombstone. Gotta put Tombstone in there. I mean, yeah, Kurt Russell. Your hell is riding with me. Yeah, Val Kilmer in perhaps his best role. Kurt Russell's a badass. You got a great supporting cast, including people like Bill Paxton, and I think even Charlton Heston's in there. Michael Biehn as one of your villains, as well as Powers Booth. A damn good cast. Directed by George Cutts Miles, but a lot of people say technically Kurt Russell really directed it. I don't know all the details behind it. People say different things. Of course, about Wyatt Earp leading up to the battle in Tombstone, and then the after effects of Tombstone. Some of the Earp family getting killed, and the revenge of that. Tombstone is just a badass movie. Just a badass film. Enough said. Number 6, High Plains Drifter. A Clint Eastwood film that I enjoyed the sort of mysterious, like supernatural quality to it, which was surprising. Because you're not sure if this guy, it seems like he's a ghost, and that's up to interpretation. And that mysterious factor where people are not sure quite where this guy's coming from, and he comes into town, and there's this backstory about this previous guy who got killed, and no one came out to help him. So it's him dealing with these bad guys that want to take over the town, but also passing judgment on the town itself for their cowardice, for being cowardly pieces of shit. Like, stuck in my head when he makes the town paint the whole he makes all the townsfolk paint the whole town red and change it to hell. And just that idea I thought was really different. It's not many movies I could think of where someone makes the people, the hero makes them, no, you don't paint your town red. And you don't call yourself hell. I think it's not something that typically happens. And that always stuck in my mind. And the whole mystery I thought was interesting. Maybe it's like a predecessor to The Crow. To make the wrong things right. Again, that angle I thought always made High Plains Drifter a bit more interesting compared to other westerns. And speaking of, Clint Eastwood, number 5, For a Few Dollars More, my favorite of the Man with No Name trilogy. For a Few Dollars More, I think it has my favorite score of the trilogy. I liked the combination of Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef from Escape from New York and others on the same side. And Lee Van Cleef, they gave him a little bit of backstory what happened to him and in his past and this whole connection with his pocket watch. And I think he had some decent amounts of action, dynamite action, gunplay. But yeah, it was nice to see these two guys as on the same side going after the same individual. One is a more personal stake to it. One has more a financial stake to it. So that aspect made me put it above the first and the third of the trilogy. I'm sure a lot of people, they don't consider that their favorite of the three. I think most would say The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But again, for me, I much prefer the... it's not that I much prefer, but I just, For a Few Dollars More always stuck with me more. And so I was doing like this stupid notification popped up. So great, so my webcam can freeze for a minute. Number 4, there's going to be a groaner for people, but I was a sucker for this film. Cowboys and Aliens. I know it's based on a comic book. It's more sci-fi. Like I said, I like sci-fi mixed in with it. Cowboys and Aliens, I had a ball. I thought Jon Favreau did a nice job directing. I thought it did a nice job of utilizing some practical mixed in with the CG. It was a good cast. I really like Daniel Craig. I love the device he has on his wrist. It's a badass. Harrison Ford. I think Sam Rockwell's in it, I believe, and Olivia. Is it Olivia Munn or Olivia Wilde? I always get those names mixed up. But Olivia gave a good performance, and Daniel Craig was a badass, and he got some crowd-pleasing moments, and I never understood the hate that film got. I never understood the hate that film got, Cowboys and Aliens. It's a ridiculous concept. Yeah. So was fucking Black Widow. So is any fucking movie nowadays. So is most of the Fast and Furious films. Shillow movies that are ridiculous. But it was cool to see a Cowboys and Aliens that it's very tough to try to play that a bit more straightforward. Because the very easy thing to do is to make it a comedy, and usually that's the way to do it. But they played it for the more of the straight and narrow, and I thought they were effective. Just the way the movie is shot. The movie is shot like a good... It's shot like a well-intentioned, respectable Western. The great vistas and cinematography and scope for the love of the Western. But on the flip side, you get this fun popcorn sci-fi alien attack movie attached to it. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. And yeah, Cowboys and Aliens I always thought was a fun, satisfying popcorn entertainment type of movie. And it came out and it bombed in a bomb alley, and then the people, I think like Ron Howard said, yeah, that movie was a mistake. I'm like, really, Ron? Solo, A Soy Boy Story was a fucking mistake. Which you eventually directed. Solo was a mistake. Not fucking Cowboys and Aliens. Soy Boy Story, fuck that, with the feminist goddamn female droid being a bitch in Heat. But yeah, Cowboys and Aliens I think is a fun one. Number 3, They Call Me Trinity. If you saw the Quentin Tarantino film Django Unchained, at the end of the film there's the song that song is the main theme of They Call Me Trinity, which was sort of a comedic take on the Fistful of Dollars type of movies, the spaghetti western movies. It was made in Italy, stars these two guys, Terence Hill and Bud Spencer, and the success of They Call Me Trinity went to a huge series of films that those guys did together in Italy, would come to America, the voices would be dubbed. And They Call Me Trinity I saw many times since I was a kid, and I thought it had a great energy to it. I love like the music, I think the dubbing on the two leads was very fitting. I'm not going to say you don't notice it, but I thought it was very fitting. And there's been other movies where they've had other voices dub their work, and I thought that was a mistake. They should have kept these two voices all the time, because I think they were the best fit for Terence Hill and Bud Spencer. And I'm trying to think. I love the fight at the end where they and others have to help these people that don't want to deal with violence. They just want to build their town, build their little area to live, and these assholes, landowners, want to kick them out. And finally, one of the religious guys that says, "Wait, the Bible says there's a time to fight, there's a time to win." And they're all kicking the bad guy's ass. Very fun fight scene. Intricate, old school for the 70s. I love the music used in that. Now, They Call Me Trinity. It's hard to explain. But, yeah, I don't know if people today would get into it. But, again, always enjoyed it ever since I was a kid. I always thought it was a fun film, They Call Me Trinity. Number 2, City Slickers. I didn't know if this would fit, but technically it's a Western. Maybe not a period Western, but it's people from the city. Billy Crystal lost his smile. He's lost in life in general. His two friends, Daniel Stern and Brutal Kirby, invite him to a cattle drive. And in a way, it's the spirit of the Western where this guy who's lost his life finds his smile by embracing the kernel truth of the Western. The freedom, doing stuff with your own two hands, on your own 2 feet. Rough and tumble, but people with good heart to him, like Jack Palance. His character of Curly. He's a rough and tumble guy, but he's got a good heart on him. Who has some nice conversations with Billy Crystal. And that, and helping the little calf Norman, and giving him a sense of purpose. A new lease on life. And these 3 guys working together, and the rough and tumble getting the herd through storms and rivers. And it's also a very funny movie too, but it's got a good heart to it. And I'm sorry, City Slickers 2 I don't hate, but I don't think it had the heart that the first film had. And I think City Slickers is a fun movie. It's from the director of Tremors, Ron Underwood. He did this after Tremors. And yeah, City Slickers is a film I always enjoyed, always liked, and always got a lot of laughs out of. It's my favorite Billy Crystal film, and again, I could relate to Billy Crystal and them and their plight and being unsure about this cowboy way stuff. So I'm able to see through their eyes and go with them on this journey into being pulled into this Western lifestyle motif. And number 1 is Young Guns. My kind of Western. Actors I enjoy: Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips, Casey Shamasco. You also have Jack Palance in it, Terry O'Quinn, Terrence Stamp. Kneel before Zod, you know. Terrence Stamp himself is in it. You have a fantastic cast. You have an excellent score. I love the score. Just has this like MTV guitar style mixed in with the old Western motifs. And yeah, I guess you could say it's Brat Pack meets Western. But you know what, it worked for me. The actors, the ages they were at, I could relate to. The rambunctious energy, the rebellious nature, them against the world. And no, it's not factual. If you try to compare this with history, you're going to lose. But for escapism entertainment, hard-hitting... I remember as a kid, the way the director and the composer worked together on the scene when Charlie Sheen's character gets killed. You really feel the dire circumstances, like, yep, this is where things have changed. Like the way the score gets a lot darker, and the way people are horrified, we gotta get the hell out of there, and then the way like Kiefer Sutherland doesn't ride off quite yet and sees the devastation and Charlie Sheen's body and the look Kiefer has on his face. That's a good sense of direction, composer, Kiefer's performance, all coming together to showcase things have gotten to another level of seriousness. That also happens when one of their guys they don't trust, and they realize there's something up with them, that he was sold out. And having to kill one of their own. Again, just like that scene, certain sense of realization, now things have gone to the next level. That's the thing, it's like this amping up until the final battle and confrontation. Reap it. Satisfying headshot. And you didn't need a sequel. You did not need a sequel. It told its story. It ended it on a satisfying note. We didn't need to see what happened next. Fuck Young Guns 2. The only thing about Young Guns 2 I like is a few of Emilio's lines of dialogue and the song Blaze of Glory. There's only two things I like. Other than that, it wasn't really about the Young Guns. It was more about the Billy the Kid show. That's the thing about Young Guns. It really was about the group. The sequel is more about just Billy, Billy, Billy. Oh, then here's the Young Guns. And Billy, Billy, Billy some more. Then the Young Guns. It's more of him, less about them. They're barely a thought in the flick. And then most of them get killed off, which is inconsistent with the ending of Young Guns, because it makes no sense. Why would Kiefer Sutherland's character narrate that Billy the Kid died, even though his character is dead before that event happens? So Kiefer, at the end of Young Guns, is narrating, this is what happened when Billy the Kid died on this date from this person, and something was etched on his tombstone, and it's a word called pals. What, is it Kiefer's ghost? And then Lou Diamond Phillips, even Lou Diamond Phillips himself said, during the commentary on the first movie, oh yeah, it was his character that... So even he forgot that he died in Young Guns 2. Again, was his ghost? Did that happen after Lou Diamond Phillips' character died too? Did his ghost come back and etch the word pals on the tombstone? See, it's like the people who saw Young Guns 2, who made it, didn't watch the first fucking movie. Oh, it's history. No, Kiefer Sutherland, those characters lived to be pretty damn old age. So it's not consistent with history, as if you expected with Young Guns 2. Fuck Young Guns 2. I hate that fucking sequel. I think it just took a shit on the first one. And then, whatever. Getting back to the first Young Guns. Like I say, I think it's the Western that just appeals to me the most. Because it's... When I looked at the 80s was... I don't think it was a good time for Westerns. At least for me. Because you think about this top 10, this is the only one from the 80s. Maybe High Plains Drifter. I can't remember when High Plains Drifter... Maybe that one, but... Like Quigley Down Under is 90s. Fistful of Dollars is 70s. Cowboys and Aliens is the 2000s. City Slickers is 90s. For a few dollars more, that's 70s. Tombstone 90s, Rio Bravo even earlier. And Young Guns is like that 80s mentality feel mixed in with the Western. That combination of the two just really worked for me. And again, the cast I think is exceptional. And that's the movie that I steal the line, "We're in the spirit world, asshole, they can't see us." Stole that from Young Guns because I love that bit. Because they've taken this drug. Was that, yeah, it's a drug. And they get high on it. They don't realize it because it's Lou Don Phillips has this elixir. They drink it, and then you see how each of them react to it. How come they can't see us? Because we're in the spirit world, asshole, they can't see us. That was Dermot Maroney. Just, again, great cast, great music, entertaining film. So yeah, Young Guns is my favorite Western. So Young Guns, City Slickers, They Call Me Trinity, Cowboys and Aliens for a few dollars more, High Plains Drifters, Tombstone, Rio Bravo, Quigley Down Under, and A Fistful of Dollars. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.